member stands in front of the mirror and says to his wife, I feel bad about myself. I look fat, ugly, and aged. I really need you to give me a compliment to make me feel a little better. After a long pause, Zotwa says, you have a perfect eyesight. Good evening. I don't think you got it. Well, let me start first with the bad news. Freddie is back. Freddie is back because I got a long letter from CCMA and I had to reinstate him this morning. You know, I acknowledge the hundreds of letters of applications to replace him, but what can I do? As they say, the law is an ass. So I've had to take Freddie back, and what a pity, because I know one of you would have been amazing, you know, to be my partner in this thing and be the next technical producer. So let's work with Freddie, guys. He promised to improve. You know what I'm saying? So good evening, hustlers. And thank you for joining us on Talk with Rams. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as Talk with Rams. Remember to follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram, and to subscribe to our Instagram page. Speaking of which, to qualify for the 50% discount of Dr. Thami Banda's book, The Winning Mindset, all you need to do is subscribe to our YouTube page. And it's called Talk with Rams. Take a screenshot of your subscription, then send us an email of that shot on admin@talkwithrams.com. Remember, admin@talkwithrams.com, and tell us that you want to get the book of Dr. T, and then we'll get the process going. Disclaimer, I have a scratchy throat. It is not COVID-19, or at least I hope it's not. I went for a run earlier and I messed up my chest, so I'll be irritating you all evening. Bear with me as I cough and clear my throat from time to time. So I asked a friend of mine and I said to him, if I was a customer and government was my service provider, would I be a happy customer currently with how they communicate with me during COVID-19? And my friend said, I think let's talk about it on Talk with Rams. So he's here. Customer service coach Thami Banda has surfaced from some hidden place after a long time. Good evening, Mambo.
Mambo, good evening. I don't have a sketchy throat because I always have a perfect antidote, you know, to help my life. So if you take a sip, let me take a sip as well.
Oh, God. You're such a boast. Good to meet you, man. It's been a long time.
Well, it's been, but I appreciate the fact that we are together on the show, and we can chat about a little bit on a turf that actually you master better than I do, even though we are using a skeleton of customer service.
I thought, you know, yes. And by the way, I can tell you now, I'm writing some script on communication during COVID-19. But yes, I thought about it from a customer service point of view. And let me give you an example what I mean.
Yes.
I get onto an aircraft, I sit there, I relax. Before we take off, the pilot says to us, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome aboard flight Talk with Rams 452, you know, you know, all the way to the world.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, our flight is scheduled to be 30 minutes, but I need to tell you that we're looking forward to a lot of turbulences on our route. And I'd suggest that you guys fasten up, and on that basis, there won't be any service. There won't be any food served because of the turbulence and stuff like that, but we guarantee a safe flight.
Yes.
As a customer sitting on that aircraft, I feel I am being served as a customer. I'm being told what the route is going to look like. I'm being told not to leave my seat. I'm being told I am not going to get my normal drink as you are having your drink now because of what we're going ahead with.
Yes.
And that's why I thought we should talk about it from a customer service point of view, not from a communication point of view. Leave that to me. I'll do that for you in the next few months. So But I ask you a question. I'm sitting in this aircraft called South Africa. We're heading somewhere. Should I feel that the captain has spoken to me and told me the road ahead, has the captain told me to fasten up, has the captain told me there won't be luxuries that you're used to as we go ahead?
Look, I think first and foremost, we must congratulate the president. I mean, it sounds like being politically affiliated, but truth of the matter, from what customer service is all about, he has done a wonderful job. And I can attest to that in basic principles, which we will unpack as the show goes on, that are focusing on what is actually the effective way of customer service communication, right?
Yes.
So in this case, I mean, the president was a bit patient with the nation. We all knew about COVID-19 as far back as December, when we started to see what was happening in China, and it got worse with the Italians going through it as well. So if you look at it from a perspective of being patient, which is one of the critical elements of communication within customer service, the president did a very, very good job. He was cautious, he was very patient, and even when he was about to introduce the measures of how we are going to combat this, the president decided actually to have a first, what I call, soft lockdown. We were first having a curfew in South Africa as part of an introduction to what a full-on lockdown, level 5, as we now know, would have been like. So from that perspective of saying he was patient, not only with what is happening around the world to get a careful study, but he was also patient with us, walking with us into preparation of what the lockdown would look like. So from those, I would say he's been spot on.
Excellent intro. I like that. Now, before we continue,
yes.
Let me ask you this. Your telephone that you're using for Instagram, has it got headphones on it or earphones on it?
No.
Please do that. We're getting an echo. So all you have to do is to plonk earphones on that. You don't have to do it now. Call for them, ask somebody to get them for you. We'll continue with the conversation. So apologies, guys, on Instagram for getting the echo, but let's continue. And by the way, guys, we've got a WhatsApp line for your voice notes, only for voice notes. Even Freddie, who is my fired employee, knows that one. It has to be voice notes. We have to respect him. Only voice notes. 067-271-8239. Please join us in this conversation. 067-271-8239 is the WhatsApp line. We use that line for voice notes only. If you want to contact us any other way, please send us an email. admin@talkwithrams.com, not .co.za.com. Please remember that. And I suggest that you keep it in some safe space so that we can use it going forward. Okay, Ma'am, I like your first response. And again, I'm gonna use the aircraft symbol that I use, or symbolicis, or the metaphor. Have I been a good passenger? Have I listened to the pilot, to the captain?
I don't think we have, personally. To a certain degree, we are dealing with the echo thing, Mambo, shortly.
Yeah, don't worry. But on the main platform, we're doing well. So continue.
Okay, so I don't think that we have done that very well. And I can tell you where I say we have concerns. It's because we have not listened to what the guidance of the pilot are saying. Our desire is to make the journey comfortable, which is not the right way from being a recipient of customer service. You know, one of the things that we always emphasize on this platform about customer service is that every customer service practitioner is providing a solution that you actually have a need for. And in some of the instances, you might have not identified your need thoroughly. And as you explain, the customer service practitioner is able to then decipher the information or decode the information and find what is critical around what you are looking for. So in this case, the president knows our health desires. He knows that he has to lead a healthy nation. And from that perspective, I am convinced that as much as he's done a great job, as customers of this great service that he has provided, we have not been very, very good.
Great. Okay, now, tonight I'm going to protect myself as the passenger and everybody else with us as passengers, and I'm going to play the blame game and keep on blaming the pilot, the captain, the crew staff, and the airport company, all of those people. So for now, I want everybody who's with us on the platform to know you are protected. We are good citizens, we are good passengers on this aircraft that's taking us somewhere. I just feel that there could be some things that could have been done better by those who are saving us and taking us somewhere. So you spoke about patience being a must. Is the first principle of customer service and communication in customer service. I like what you said to me when we spoke earlier. You said you have to capture the finer details. So
Yes.
do we have the finer details? Do I have the finer details here in Houghton as somebody in Khayelitsha where the numbers are horrific, as somebody in Mthatha where the numbers are growing badly, as somebody in Durban where the numbers were bad at the beginning of April and they're getting better now?
Look, I think from dissemination of information, which is the critical point, we do have, but what is lacking in us is the understanding of how much is what we're dealing with is impactful to us. So in this case, you are making a beautiful example about the pilot once more. And if we go back to that, the pilot has an experience. He sees ahead, he sees the dark cloud. And you know, in that example, one of the most beautiful things that we always forget when you get into a plane is that you tend to trust the platform because there's no signboard on air that tells you you're in the right direction. So we tend to trust him that if the plane is going to Durban or Cape Town, it is going to Durban or Cape Town. So in this case, we are refusing to accept all details because to us, it's not a deadly virus because I have not gone and acquired it the way we normally acquire viruses. You know, we are told you've got to sit next to a person who's got TB and who is careless about how they cough for you to contract the virus itself. But in this case, we are just told that practice every precautionary measure that you can, and we are given basics such as let us clean our hands, let us wear a mask, let's keep safe distancing. These 3 steps globally are the ones that are well preached upon that we should practice to be healthy. Now, let me ask you, Mambo, should it be that hard to keep 3 principles in your life when you know that you need to be well? And that's where I am saying we have not been good customers to a service that has been given unto us. That's where my concern is at. 3 steps only to follow, and we are refusing. Sit still, sir. Keep your seatbelt on. Don't go to the bathroom. We will not be serving you meals until we go through this matter. Is it really too much to ask? Has the information been disseminated enough? I am convinced that it has, but it's too simple a detail for us to follow.
Okay, has that information been accurate?
Yes, it has. In my mind, it has been. And I can tell you why. Accuracy of information in customer service has to tell you steps. In the last discussion we had here, and we were talking about digital customer service experiences, we spoke about something we call click-3 step to get into the end point, where we know that when a person wants to land into your page, he sees what you are about, he sees what product you offer or service that you offer, and he sees how to acquire that product or service. Now, in this case, it is communicated unto us. There is this matter, this is how you can avoid it, and these are steps that we are taking to help you to avoid it. That information has been disseminated. What we probably are confusing ourselves with is that we want to understand the virus in detail rather than the information to protect ourselves. The whole concept of the lockdown is to protect us first before we understand what we are fighting.
I like that. I like that. And I'll tell you why I like that. Because now you're saying to me, the captain has told us there's turbulence ahead. He has told us to fasten our seat belts. He told us not to leave our seats. There's not going to be any service of food. But we want to know the flight route. We want to know the flight plan. We want to know what the air traffic control people have told him. That's what you're saying. We are concerned about what is not important in this case.
It's as good as saying, Mambo, you are a football fan. You are a coach.
Well, I am.
Yeah, you are a coach. You are preparing the club for pre-season. You introduce a system. The team that hired you knows exactly what you want to do, and that's why they accepted you. When you employ that system, you get beaten on your first game 6-0. But then at the end of the season, you win the league. But on the first game, the fans are saying, no, but that's not the guy we hired. I remember one coach in South Africa went through the same example. Stuart Parkstown, his first season with Kaizer Chiefs, played Sundowns on the SAA Super 8 at the time. Sundowns won 4-1 under Johan Niskens. But who won the league? It was Stuart Parkstown. The same fans who were chasing him were now nicknaming Kaizer Chiefs Gautrain, unstoppable. So that's exactly what we are talking about here. You are in a hurry to know the destination when you are being taken step by step on the process of what is going to be acquired at the end.
We have a voice note that we just received. So I'm going to ask us to listen to the voice note and then we'll continue with our conversation.
Hi, Rams. Thank you for the wonderful show. Thank you for the consistency. And I must say, there isn't a day that I don't learn something new. Thank you so much.
So Mambo, thank you very much for the voice note, by the way. And just as a request, guys, when you leave us a voice note, it's also nice to tell us who you are. I'd like to know my friends out there. It's always important. So, you know, I feel like we did this show the whole day today before we did the actual show because we spoke a lot about this. You then say there is a responsibility on the part of the customer that we have dropped. We have not been attentive. That's what you're saying.
Yes. And you know, Mambo, it's important for you as a customer to say, I'm getting married to a wedding planner. And he says to you, where? When? What season is it? What's the color scheme? What's your suit like? Why is he asking all these questions? Experience tells him, in this season, the type of photographer you need is this one if you're having these colors because the atmosphere looks like this. Whenever you brief somebody who is serving you, they are ahead of the journey. And that's what we should always know. Because these are professionals who are meant to provide what? A solution, Mambo. So they have a proactive approach to you. And it delights you when you realize that they actually have a picture of what you're looking for and to make it much more glorious than actually the one that you have in your head. So in this case, we are given the whole picture of where we want to be. In all honesty, what would we have loved the president to say? Is perhaps to say that, guys, the reason why we want you to keep social distancing, the reason why we say wear a mask, the reason why we say wash your hands, it's because all of us want to celebrate New Year's Eve with you. Do you know the approach would have been different? But that's exactly what he's trying to ask us. He's asking us to be alive. And yet we would, in fact, Mambo, I am surprised that we are putting so much blame on him, on COVID, when we have never been responsible on our own for our own health. Is it really, really fair? Because there are a lot of things that we are not doing right. I mean, we have practical examples we don't care about.
But you people of customer service taught us a long time ago that the customer is always right.
Yes, a customer is always right. But do you know why we say he's always right? It's because we have always believed that the customer is aware that they have one mouth, 2 ears. Bad customer service is when you fail to understand that you must listen twice as much to the information that you are getting than you speak. Only respond to the questions that you are being given in order to get to the desired outcome. That's why we in customer service practice, we say, avoid interrupting the customer. Let me give you an example. The president has not addressed each and every query that people brought, but all major queries, he has come back on every address and highlighted its importance. He will say, we've heard our people, we've heard the concern about this. I work in the alcohol industry. There was a point when he said he heard our cry and he's saying we are attending to it. We want to find perfect measures to get to the bottom of it so that we don't do things that are haphazard and in the end harm the same community that we are saying we are making business out of, or we are revitalizing the economy with. So in other words, we've not given him a chance not to be interrupted. We've interrupted in every plan because we have selfish needs that we want to address. And that's why we get bad things. This gives me an example on what happens with what we call Black Friday. How many people do you know in your lifetime, Mambo, not only on Black Friday, who purchase great items and then when they are at home, they are stuck in the storeroom because you realize you don't need them. You didn't listen. You didn't plan. You just looked at the price tag and you looked at the commodity and you said, I need it. But you didn't realize that you actually want it. You don't need it. If you got there and you explained your needs, somebody would have told you you need a plate and a teapot.
Okay, I hear you. You make sense. And I'm going to concede. And I think by now the telephone should be ringing. The presidency should be calling you. They're loving you so much. You're doing a great job for them. Here's the caveat, though. Here's the caveat.
Sure.
As a customer service provider, you taught me a long time ago that you have to know your product or the service that is offered inside out.
Yes.
I can tell you now that people who are with us now, people who could be listening to us, or people who are somewhere else not even listening to us, do not have that feeling that the service provider knows the product inside out to communicate it well to us.
And I don't want to sound like a spokesperson of a politician.
Yes.
But let me be honest with you. Politics survives because of constituency. Constituency is well if it is alive. It's in his interest as a politician, first and foremost, not as a president, to have the constituency well and alive, or alive and well, as we'll put it in English. But then this is the concern that I am having with him knowing. There are things that we didn't know about our nation before COVID. One of them is effectiveness of online platforms. We never cared. They were there. We saw them being advertised as consumers. We never utilized them, right? As a nation, we didn't realize how important it is to keep your lungs healthy, because we always assumed flu is flu. You understand what I'm trying to say? So there is a gap where we should meet him halfway and accept also that as much as the knowledge about this virus is changing every day. I remember in our first lockdown, even top countries in the world were still debating, how does it get from one person to the other? Is it airborne? Is it this? You understand? How long does it live on a surface? All those questions. But truth of the matter is, by the way, he even failed to wear a mask in one of his live things because it's something he didn't know. You can blame him for not mastering the product, but you can't blame him for being effective on the message. You cannot.
But I hear you. You see, I'm talking about government, not the president. I'm talking about Begitele. I'm talking about Fikile Mbalula. I'm talking about Lindiwe Zulu. I'm talking about something as government.
You are getting into my terrain now.
They're dealing with, and as government deliver this service. See, I can see the president coming to me every 14 days, but every day we have to deal with a Begitele who stops a guy who's transporting his alcohol and he wants to arrest him when the regulations allow the guy to do exactly that. So that's what I'm talking about.
We are coming to an effective point of customer service. And probably it's a point that we've taken for granted even in our chats before. That customer service is not remaining with the person whom we always interpret in our heads as the sales guy. It's the whole value chain. So if I were to juxtapose Begitele with the person who is the cashier now, the sale is almost done. You are on the queue. And then they get there, they don't even ask you, should I offer you a plastic bag, even though they know that they charge you for it. This is where we say people are empowered by doing their function and understanding it well. In that case, we failed dismally because we have people who are empowered who don't do the function well, right? So it's quite interesting that as much as you are at a till point, the person is not even congratulating you for buying a tie. To say, this is a beautiful tie. Thank you, sir. I hope next time you will try it with a blue shirt. I think it will be wonderful. So the customer service value chain was poor. But the head customer service provider.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's not go back to the head. You've given the head enough praise. I get you. But the value chain has been poor.
The value chain has been compromised. We must accept that. And that's one of the things that as customer service practitioners, we must always remember. I even in my workspace on daily basis, I might be an interface with consumers, but that's not the person that they see when they purchase my product. When somebody wants to go and purchase the Macallan, they see somebody different. But it's important for us then to share the values we speak about to the consumer directly with everybody in the value chain, so that it adds impact to the consumer experience. So in this case, we have a cashier, we have a person who is packing those goods. You know, I always look at the grocery shops. They have a 3-phase customer service experience. You walk in, you go to an aisle. That's the first phase where the product is found. You come back from an aisle, you meet a person at the till, all right? He rings the sales, you pay, right? That person is the one who should say, thank you for doing business with us. But the one who says, hope to see you soon, is the one who gives you the plastic bag. Yes. Value chain. But in most cases, the one who gives you a plastic bag hardly speaks to you. The one who rings the sale is just telling you the amount. Why? When people do a job, they don't understand the function. And those are two different things. The job is what you are paid for. The function is what you serve us with.
See, now we're getting somewhere. And by the way, to the folks on Instagram, they're still picking up the echo. We're coming to the end. I'm sorry, folks. We'll fix it next time. This is the first time I've allowed my guests to join me at the same time on Instagram, and I think that's where the echo comes from. If Freddie stays on the job, he'll fix it going forward, and we'll see how it goes.
My apologies.
Before you said what you said now, there was a message from Thabo Kalani on Facebook who says, I'm starting to feel like Thami is biased, but I think your last comment, he'll realize that you're not biased. Because I think at the beginning, you're focusing mainly on the store owner and not the entire value chain inside this store. So I think he'll understand you. I under the Daru Mabombo says, Begitele must fall. Okay, maybe we'll have a conversation about that one. Finally, Mambo, we're running out of time.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted us to touch on the last part. I always think is the biggest failure in customer service. Shortcuts, assuming people know and not reminding them again and again and again.
You know, Mambo, this is a very painful experience that I almost on daily basis go through. I'll give you an example. I'm not ashamed to mention these guys because when we mention people in this show, they come back and accept their fault. I had a problem with my Wi-Fi from Saturday. We called Telkom, who was a service provider. And on the process of the things this guy kept on explaining that I must fix, I tried a trick as a customer and my Wi-Fi worked. And I decided to put them on the test. He had confirmed my cell phone number. He confirmed it on the account. I dropped the call. So I gave him an impression the call is cut because I have not said the service has worked. To this day, Telkom has not called me to verify if my Wi-Fi is working.
Wow.
Now, yes. Do you know what is the shortcut in that instance, Mambo? The shortcut in that instance is that since the customer is not following through on his query, therefore it is sorted. That is horrible, not just bad, horrible customer service. Because even if it was addressed and sorted, the critical issue for you to follow through on is this one. Are you satisfied with the service we have done? So let's assume that the Wi-Fi is working, and he's not too sure that it is, by the way, but he should come through as a person who helped me to say, are you sure that you are happy with the service we offered you? Can we get a referral from you? And I say, yes. Once I say yes, they can quote Mr. Thami Banda, who is excited about the query he had, and it was sorted. Do you understand what I mean? But they missed an opportunity on that one. Why? Shortcuts, Mambo. Assumption.
You know, I call this the most powerful 30 minutes on digital content you'll ever find every day. And I just feel like this time should have been 60 minutes of content because I feel like we leave people hanging, but we've run out of time. So
Well,
maybe
we
we
must-
continue with this conversation. Maybe we have to continue with this conversation next week. I feel we have just touched the surface of this thing because we're going to be with COVID for a while. I believe we should talk about the value chain communication that's been happening. But my time is done, Mambo. I'm out of time. Thank you very much for your time. And how do people contact you?
Look, I'm available on Facebook to chat about customer service. Just Thami Banda on Facebook, and you can follow me. The same with Instagram. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the second half of this, and it will be Miners Echo
Shut
on
up.
Instagram.
My time is up. So tomorrow, the game changer. It's going to be amazing. It's an older person. They won't fail me. From me, Rems Mabote, good night and God bless.
Lunch.